I was watching her dog, and they stay with us. Well, 3 times her dog went into by her in my closet and just stood there and barked for about 15 minutes for no reason at all. My husband was standing by the stove, and our coffee pot was over there for the corn. All of a sudden, the lid from the coffee pot just flew up and then went down on the ground. And he went, then he went out to the garage, and the golf cart, all the mirrors and everything was all like twisted around, and it was backed up against the garage door, and everything.
Last November 13th, our dog passed away. We had to put him down. He had a stroke on the 12th of November of last year, and he was really, really bad, so we had to put him down. He couldn't walk or stand even. The stroke was so bad, so we put him down on November the 13th. It wasn't a Friday, I don't remember what day it was, but we were devastated. We'd had the dog for 12 years. He was a 3-legged dog. He was missing his right front leg, and we adopted him when he was 4 years old. And he was missing his leg when we adopted him from the dog pound. And we got him certified as a therapy dog, and we worked every week at the local hospital in the town. We would go to the up in the hospital where people were getting hip replacements and knee replacements, and it kind of related to a 3-legged dog, and he was just a lovely, loving dog. Everybody liked him. He was a man-eating pit bull, by the way, but was well liked. He was in the newspaper. We did things with reading to kids. He loved to socialize with people. So when he passed, it was a devastating blow to my wife and I, and kind of odd. We went and saw our daughter out of Denver 3 weeks ago, and she has a 15-year-old boxer, and she is also having problems with her boxer. Zoe is her name, and I could tell that she was very ill. She wasn't eating. She was lethargic, and she just had to put her down today, the 13th of October, 11 months. So I just thought that it was very strange that our family lost 2 dogs, and they were both on the 13th, 11 months apart, but both on the 13th.
So this didn't happen to me, although I've experienced a ton and can tell you a ton of things that have happened as a child and growing up. But my sister had lost her husband. She lives up in Traverse City, Michigan. She's 83, and she lost him to COVID a year and a half, 2 years ago. So she lives by herself now in this 2-story townhouse up there. It's like a retirement community. And she didn't want to tell me about it, but she had shared this experience with my other sister. And she didn't want to worry me because she knows how much I'm into all of this. But at any rate, one day she was in the house. Well, she's always in the house now, but she has a piano down on the first floor, which is like a family room, and people stay down in the guest room down there. And she was upstairs by herself, and she heard the piano playing, and she was all by herself. So that kind of freaked her out. And so that had happened. Then there was another incident within the same amount of time where she heard this rustling behind her headboard in her bedroom when she was going to go to bed. And she heard like this wisping type noise. And so she was telling my other sister about it, but the one thing that really freaked her out is we've always as kids have been told, make your bed before you leave, make your bed before you leave the house. And so she had her whole bed made, she had the comforter all perfect, and she had a blanket at the end of the bed. And she was going to walk out of her room, and for some reason she turns around, and the blanket that she had put on the bed was all scrubbed up in a bundle, like in a ball. And that freaked her out. So she told my sister, who shared it with her husband, who's a real skeptic. And he says, well, the piano could have been a mouse that, went on the keys. And so, well, what do you think about the wispiness behind the bedroom or behind the headboard? And he's like, well, her headboard faces it's up against an outside wall. It was probably something outside. Well, what do you make of the blanket? And he had no explanation for that at all. But the other thing that happened to her is she heard a voice tell her, "You're mine." And so ever since that happened, we were brought up as Roman Catholics. And so she went to her priest at the church, and she had him come in and bless the entire house. I guess ever since that was done, she hasn't had any other encounter.
Of course, that's gone now, the walkway. But as we came up to the house,